Welcome everyone back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. My name is D3 here today. We will be taking a look at the pre-existing transforming units in the game. Now, LR Gogeta and Vegito, I believe, were the very first ones that went ahead and had that mechanic. So, of course, a lot of people are upset about the fact that the upcoming Gogeta Blue will also be a transforming unit, and we're going to talk about that here today. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that subscribe if you are new for more content. If you want to get some D3 merch, link is down below in the comments, or in the description, excuse me. It might be in the comments. Anyways, moving on. We have, so this is where things are kind of weird. So again, we do start off with the LRs being the very first ones, and then we have varying degrees. Some of these units actually have better restrictions on their transformations than others, right? We also have non-festival exclusives like the Android 21 and then the free-to-play Piccolo. I think people forgot that free-to-play transformation units are a thing because Piccolo exists. And then also there are other mechanics like these two. Not really going to count them because theirs is just kind of unique to them, transforming every single turn that they show up, well, after a certain amount of turns, whatever the case is. You know, just consistently going through forms, and then ignoring the Fury mode mechanics, and then the Ape type mechanics, and like all that other stuff. So, for the most part, though, these are the ones. So, when we take a look at probably the worst restrictions in the game, we have the LRs. And, of course, I'm going to go ahead and, before we even get into this, point out that the payoff for the LRs is really good because you get a max heal, stuff like that. And I do understand there are people that have these units and never struggle to get their transformations out. None of that is relevant in this video. If you don't struggle to get the transformations, good for you. But that has nothing to do with this video. So, on the surface, again, from the perspective of just the game in general, waiting for, 6 turns right here. It's going to be right here. Anyways, waiting for 6 turns and being below 50% HP right here. Perform Potara Fusion when 50% HP or below, starting from the 6th turn, is not a good mechanic. For one, 6 turns is just about, assuming you have a respectable account in any way, shape, or form, it's just about the end of the event. Now, they were designed to be finishers, right? The Goku and Vegeta units are pretty solid, but their transformations were designed to be finishers. But it kind of sucks when you can't use the unit for what they're intended to do, right? Or intended to be ultimately. For example, when we come back here, we technically don't have a mastered Ultra Instinct Goku card because we just have the Ultra Instinct Omen here. And he, of course, does go to regular Ultra Instinct, but we don't have a standalone card for this. And that's going to be the same case for all of these other units that do transform, whether they have alternate variations like, you know, STR Rose and AGR Rose, things of that nature. We don't have some of these cards as standalones. So, SSB Vegeta is another really good example. You know, he starts off as GSS, then he goes evolved, right? So it's a different thing. So I do understand that perspective, you know, what people don't really like that type of mechanic. And the whole thing about transformations in general is to add something new to the game. You see a different animation. A lot of times they have different super attack animations, stuff like that. So you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 in a card, but a lot of them are done very poorly. Some of the good examples, though, of aside from these units, because again, I've already kind of explained that waiting 6 turns is a long time, but also needing to be below 50% as well is quite hard. You need to be, it's weird, like when I would use these units for my sake, and of course I'm a whale, so it's a little different, but when I would use these units, I'd have to literally go out of my way to make sure that I'm low on HP, maybe taking hits, putting my units in suboptimal positions to get super attacked with type disadvantage, weird things like that, to make sure that I can get it, right? And again, everybody's situation is a little bit different, but again, just on the surface, it's not a great mechanic. The most recent iteration is Goku Black, who, as you see here, when HP is 80% or above, starting from the 6th turn, he has a 100% transformation rate into the Int Rose. And I would, every day of the week, take 80% or above over 50% because it's still an incredibly different playstyle. You don't have to do weird things sometimes. Again, if you have a respectable account, I'm going to keep pointing that out. But still, 6 turns isn't great, right? It's not great. Some of the better mechanics, though, that they've done right is Ultra Instinct. You know, he's actually different because when your HP is below 50%, you automatically transform. So it can be still kind of hard to dip below 50%. Maybe you have to play weirdly for a turn or two, but the second you dip below, he instantly goes Ultra Instinct. So like, or well, you know what I'm saying, Mastered Ultra Instinct. So it's not really something you have to wait a designated amount of turns for, so it doesn't feel like more often than not you're not seeing his transformation like some of the other units. And also, we take a look at Piccolo here. Piccolo's not bad. You know, starting from the 5th turn, he goes ahead and does it. Now, 5 turns is not the best, I would say, but it's still a lot better than 6. It's a 1-turn difference, but that 1 turn makes a huge difference. So Piccolo's not a bad one either because Basically, what I'm saying is that the ones that are guaranteed to do it and have a reasonable amount of time are particularly not bad. Again, you would always want to have their ultimate form be the one you start off with and not have to go through the hoops of having to transform. But again, it's not necessarily innately a bad thing, particularly because they do pick up, you know, other abilities, get better, stuff like that. So you have a card that starts off kind of like every other card, about average with every other card, and then gets a lot better, you know? So we move on to another one that's kind of drastic. We have Super Boo. So Super Boo is a little bit of a different case because depending on the amount of HP you have starting from the 5th turn, he goes into one of the other transformations. But again, he's just like Piccolo, that he is going to guarantee a transformation after 5 turns. There's no restrictions on HP like the LRs and like Goku Black, for example, right? So Super Boo here, when HP is 50 to 79%, you go Boo Tanks. When it's above 80%, you go to the Buhan. So it's literally the exact, to try to get Buhan, it's literally the exact same thing as going to Rose, but you get it 1 turn sooner, right? And again, I've already pointed out how that can make a big difference. Now, there are other ones that are really good and have shorter time periods. So here we have Turles. Turles has one of the better transformation mechanics, in my opinion, in the game, because when we take a look at it here, he has a 25% chance to activate Fruit of the Tree of Might boost for 3 turns when HP is 80% or below. So the second you dip below 80%, he's going to constantly try every time he shows up to transform. He has a 25% chance, so it's not going to be super common, super likely. A lot of times for me, I get this about, you know, turn 5. It's not too hard to do it. Turn 4, turn 5. Especially if you run movie bosses, you'll of course up your chances of having one of them at least transform because there's going to be two of them floating around and stuff like that, right? So altogether, though, Turles is a pretty solid one. It's RNG based. Under a certain threshold, and you can make the argument that you might have something like, you might want something like Ultra Instincts, which, you know, it's one that you just instantly get, so I wouldn't argue with you on that. And then we have another one that's pretty good, and that's Android 21. So we take a look here, 30% chance to consume Cell and transform when HP is 50% or above, starting from the 4th turn. So hers is a little bit different. It's a bit of a blend between two. You have a 30% chance, which is RNG. You have to be above 50% HP, which with the Android team, with the way that they heal, and just with villains in general, is not a hard thing to do. And it has to be starting from the 4th turn. Now, I do want to point this out for the people that may not know, just in case. It doesn't matter if the unit has shown up 4 times. She doesn't have to show up 4 times. It even counts the turns while she's not there. So just to point that out. So you can instantly, of course, you would have to transform on the turn she is there, right? But it does count the ones that she was not there initially. So you have a huge dichotomy between some of these and their activation rates and how they start off. And another really good one is here. Pretty much the same thing, I believe, to Android 21, actually. It's a little bit different, but almost the exact same thing. 30% chance starting from the 4th turn, except you don't have to be above 50% HP. So to me, it's kind of weird because it's like, what is even their thought process behind transforming? And if, in my opinion, if it's something like Vegeta, 21, Turles, I'll even go as to say Ultra Instinct or Piccolo. All the ones in the middle I don't really too much care for because they either are making you wait 6 turns or they're kind of gimmicky. But I guess if I consider Piccolo, I should consider what's it called? Super Boo 2. But if it's one of those, one of the better iterations of this, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. You know, I don't really think it's that big of a problem that he would have a transformation mechanic, and that allows for him to, you know, if you run double leads, kind of link with himself as well if one didn't transform. There are pros to having transforming units, but I do again understand that a lot of people just do not like them, will never like them because of the way that it's been handled in general. But that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. I do think that there are some that are pretty cool, despite the fact that a lot of people would rather just always have the automatically transformed unit for obvious reasons. It kind of feels like you're getting a card and you can't even unlock its full potential most of the time in some of the cases of some of these units. But altogether, though, I do think that on the surface, transformation mechanics in general are a cool thing. I think that they're a cool mechanic in the game. They're annoying, yes, but on the surface, again, I do think they're a cool mechanic, and I appreciate them. So I want to know what you guys think the restriction will be for Gogeta. And they didn't mention Broly transforming. Again, there's no full power Broly. I mean, there's that boss. We don't know about that yet. But right now, there's no full power Broly that's been announced. So Broly could be a transformer as well. I don't know. He's just going to be Super Saiyan otherwise. So let me know what your thoughts will be for the Gogeta, what his restrictions will be. I think it's going to wind up being a good one. And it's kind of weird, though, because the most recent one is Goku Black. He is almost identical to the LRs, except he has a way easier restriction. 80% or above, in my opinion, is a lot easier than 50% or below. Even if this was 50% or above for the LRs, that would be so good, right? But I do think on this list, they have the worst restriction in general, the LRs. But again, they're LRs, and you have a very good payoff. They even max heal you, and they're the only ones like that. So that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with risk versus reward. So what do you think? I think for me personally, I think he's going to transform starting from the 3rd turn. I'm going to say starting from the 3rd turn, he'll have an RNG-based chance. Kind of like Turles, pretty much, actually. And he might need to be below a certain threshold or above. I'm going to say he's going to have Turles' restriction, but above 80% HP. How about that? Or 50% or above. We'll go 50% or above HP. He'll have a random chance to transform. Now, Turles actually is a little different because his transformation wears out, but I'm not going to consider that. I'll say he'll have a random chance to transform when you're above 50% HP after 3 turns is what I'll say. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch all of you guys in the next one. And again, down below in the description, we do have our first ever official Krillin' It merch. Should also be clickable on the screen. Have an awesome day, everyone, and peace out.